This is Road to the Golden Door, where we unpack the proven success formula straight from the minds of Golden Door winners, uncovering the motivation, methods, and the mindset it takes to become an elite performer in door-to-door sales and in life. This is Road to the Golden Door. Now, here's your host, Mikey Lucas.
What's up? Welcome back. Road to the Golden Door. Very excited about this episode. We have three Golden Doors in the room here today. Blake Grissom, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you having me on, man.
Awesome, dude. So you're in roofing. This is the first time that I've actually met you. I've obviously seen you on the internet and followed your journey. Very, very similar paths, very parallel. But we really haven't, just because I guess I was in the solar side, so I know that roofers not necessarily that they don't like solar guys, but you know we kind of run in separate lanes. But dude, you just came off of a 6.7, and technically it was over 7 million. You would have hit that triple golden door if you're the company that you're at, which I'm really excited to get into the story about you starting your own company, because if you have the balls to do that, you are a crazy person to most people. But you obviously have an obsessive type of mindset, which obviously we'll get along there. And I know that people that watch this show, you know, a lot of times they're just looking for, I don't really know exactly what they're looking for. I mean, I've got an idea, but what I like them and what the feedback that I get from the show is that, you know, this Blake guy, this Mikey guy, you're just normal people. And you're like, yeah, cool, sweet. So my goal is to be able to unpack that. This isn't a sales podcast. This is really more of a lifestyle podcast, and really trying to understand what is in the mind of a top performer in the business to business or business to consumer, direct to consumer space. So Blake, you're the owner of Revive Roofing and Exteriors, and you just came off your a double golden door in 2024 and hit a prior golden door. You didn't even know what a golden door was. You also hit a golden door a couple of years ago as well. So you're a multi-year Golden Door Award winner, and your story, just from our pre-show here, I'm very excited for the internet and the followers of the show to be able to know who you are. So for everyone that doesn't know, Blake, who is Blake Grissom?
Yeah, man. So I've been in the door-to-door sales industry for 16 years now. Funny thing, I actually started in solar, but I was an installer. And then I had somebody actually approach me. He's like, hey, man, you want to get off a roof every day? I'm like, please get me off this thing roof installing, right? So then he approached me about doing some door-to-door stuff for setting some appointments for roofing. And I just fell in love with that. Was in that for like, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years. And then I was like, man, I got to get in the sales side of things. So moved over to the sales side. And then it just took off from there. It really did. Kind of part of my journey, man, and I'm not scared to talk about it. I did struggle with some addiction stuff, alcohol and some other curricular activities, if you will. I think a lot of people in roofing will probably know what I'm talking about, but
Yeah.
Struggled with that for a long time, man. In the door-to-door space was just an opportunity for me to make some party money, and really that's just kind of how I looked at work, and I just wasn't in the right mindset. So 6.5 years ago, I actually ended up getting sober. Best thing I've ever done. Best thing I've ever done for sure, man.
Congrats, man.
I appreciate it, man. It got me into the mindset of, really making a career out of this and treating it like that instead of just, hey, this is some party money and just kind of paycheck to paycheck kind of life. But once I became a student to the industry and really dove in full board ahead, it took me to the next level. It really did. And not just in sales, I mean, in my life too. I mean, we were kind of talking about this. You have the case of the efforts, right? Like somebody slams the door in your face, like, yeah, hell with this, I'm going to the bar, right? Well, that all stopped when there was no bar to go to anymore. Like I didn't do that anymore. So it's like, just keep pushing through and then get that mindset. Like I'm not going home with a goose egg today. And then it just keeps compounding and compounding. You just watch your checks compound and compound. So that's where we're at. Last year was a heck of a year for me, man. Ended up at 6.6 million technically. A company I was with, unfortunately, they did a terrible job of supplementing aspect of it. I mean, we were 8 months into some of these claims, which was terrible. But technically what it ended up at 7.15, that's where all the dust settled. So, man, it kind of stings because that would have been a triple golden door, but, it is what it is. So technically ended up with a double golden door. Year before, I actually ended up getting married and everything, so we kind of had a long distance relationship. So that year was full of kind of building that relationship with a wife and everything. And so
Yeah,
definitely missed the Golden Door that year. But yeah, the year before, I would have technically hit that as well too.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
man, love the door to door space, man. It's changed my life. It kind of hindered my life for a little bit, you know. But once you figure out how to work it to your favor, man, it'll definitely change your life.
I'd love to get into that a little bit because I do some. I don't do a lot of coaching, but most of my stuff is just free online, and people hit me up all the time. And I do a lot of speaking, stuff like that, and I want to kind of test my own theories here. So I guess what do you think was like the driver to you actually being around people that were going out using drugs, whatever, right, partying? Um, what what made you? Was it just because that was what everyone else was doing, or is that something that you in childhood that's what you did, or
Yeah, I started drinking when I was pretty. Well, I mean, it started with the weed, right? I think that's kind of how everybody starts, right? It started with
yeah,
that, and then really when I hit 21, it really took off with the drinking. But yeah, and then this is not a dig at my hometown that I grew up in, but man, we were just some partiers, man. We liked having a good time and socializing, and a lot of that came with the drinking and everything else as well too. So I mean, I love where I grew up. Just thinks I got really wrapped up in that. I've got such addictive personality that it kind of took over that. But then once you get sober, use that addictive personality to something else, and then
yeah.
man, it'll take off. So you just got to try to use your weaknesses to turn it into a positive, and I feel like I've definitely done that.
Yeah, you were talking about kind of like mindset. So with it, when you got into the industry, you were like you said, you were installing solar, and then eventually got recruited over to do some setting, right, in the roofing side. Was there somebody there that you looked up to, or what was that like? What was that kind of journey like? Because obviously, going from construction to sales is typically not what people do, but it's actually more common than I think people think.
Yeah, I mean, I think you always kind of look up to somebody till you know better, right? Like at the end of it, like looking back when I left that first company, I was like, man, get me away from these guys. Like once you finally learn like who they are, and then like because you don't know what you don't know, right? Especially coming into
Yeah,
the industry, and I feel bad for a lot of the new guys that come in and kind of get burnt, from by different companies and such, but they don't know what they don't know, right? So
yeah,
it's just tough. But yeah, I mean, I looked up to them for a bit, and then now it's time to look up to somebody different, and you just kind of keep scaling and find different people, and then I feel like especially in the roofing industry, there's some people that you can follow that are straight shooters, and then there's a lot of fake gurus and everything out there as well too. I mean, some of those fake gurus, they still put out some good stuff too, but I just not a big fan of some of them, I should say.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So, walk me through kind of that journey. Let's talk about the mindset because you've said mindset quite a few times, and I would say like the personal development journey, the self mastery journey is what really ultimately got me out of that mental mindset that I wasn't enough, that I couldn't do anything great because it's weird how I think that the human mind hears from people the bad, but in reality, you have so much good stuff in you. Why do we, were you focusing on, oh, well, I'll never get sober. I'll not like, what was that like? What was that transition like getting sober? And I guess, what was there a mountaintop experience? It's like, that God show up in a dream or something? Like what happened there?
So, yeah, I mean, the best way I can kind of describe that, man, is I was probably living the poor me life, of like, oh, this happened to me, like poor me, like, I'm just gonna go, to the bar, whatever it may be. And then you're just in that certain mindset of the poor me. But like once you get away from that, like, and I'm huge on mindset, man, because like you've got to be able to control your mind. Because if you're letting other people control your mind, they're the ones in control versus you being in control. Well, this is your life. You've got to be the one that goes after, whatever it is that you're chasing down. So mindset's huge for me. So, let's just look at, the difference in that. Like you playing the poor me role, like you're going home early, you're letting them win versus like, door gets slammed in your face or whatever. Like, cool. Like, hey, you got me one step closer to that. Yes. Right. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
And just keep pushing. And just getting around the right people and trying to find some mentors, getting in certain groups that you can get into, surrounding yourself with good people that also have that kind of same mindset to go to the top, and then just dive into it and be a student to the industry. I mean, it'll definitely help out so much more when you're surrounded by people that want to see you succeed and have that same winner mentality versus the complete opposite. I mean, you'll just see it go and take off to the very top once you get around those certain people.
So how do you know though? Because what in my experience, what I've seen was there's two ways to be a leader. You can mentor people or you can leverage people, and it feels like in my experience the majority of people are out for numero uno, for just themselves. And I've been, I mean, even in the last 5 years, I have been bamboozled by some people that I really thought had my best interest in mind, but in reality, they were using and abusing, me to get to where they wanted to be at. How do you know the difference?
In like the coaches or the mentors or so?
Yeah. So when as an example, these younger guys that are in the industry, they come in and they see the cars, they see the trucks, they see the vacations. Like, how do you know? Is there anything that you can kind of determine of a consistency of like red flags, if you will, of someone who's actually trying to just leverage you, that doesn't actually have your best interest in mind, but it makes it appear that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to do your own research, man. Like I now have a coach, shout out Todd Price, but I was around him in a group called Apex, which
Yeah.
is a whole bunch of, I don't know if you've ever heard of them,
Oh yeah.
but
Stuman.
yeah, there you go, Stuman. But yeah, so I was around him with some different things. They did like a roofing coaching kind of deal, so he was part of that, and I was just around him enough to really see day in and day out. Well, not necessarily day in and day out, but multiple times a month, kind of who he is and just how he poured into everybody. I mean, Todd did very well, and then he exited, and he's got the money, right? And it wasn't about you can tell it's not about the money for him. It's about being able to help. I mean, I've got coaching calls with him that are set for an hour. I have never once finished in an hour and say, hey, our time's up, man. We'll get back on it next week. Like, he's going to make sure that topic we're talking about, we're going to continue to make sure I fully understand what we're talking about before we're getting off the phone. And like finding people that are really willing to pour into you, it's kind of tough because you need to do your research. But once you really find that person, ask around, like, hey, if there's a coach that you're considering, hey man, can you send me a couple referrals? And go and ask those people, see if anybody else is following them, and just do your research, because I mean, coaches are not cheap. You don't want to waste your money. But just get in front of them, kind of follow them for a little bit and see if they're the real deal, instead of just like first time meeting them, jumping right into it with them.
Yeah. So question on that, let me kind of direct you back to one of those questions. So I guess what I'm trying to find out is, like, in your experience, what are some of the character traits of a leader worth following, is what I'm really trying to get to. Because coaching is great. Obviously, I mean, I spend multiple six figures a year on coaching. But for majority of the guys that follow the show, this is a show built by Golden Door Award winners, for Golden Door Award winners. But at the end of the day, the majority of our listeners don't necessarily, I would say, they're watching this show or listening to this show on whatever platform they're on, because they don't have the money, or maybe they have the money, they don't want to pull the trigger. Because, dude, I was just telling the guy that I was on a call right before this, I was like, dude, I bought my first coach back in 2019 for $30,000 for 3 meetups a year and 3 group coaching calls. That was more than the value of my car brand new off the lot. And I was like, I'm about to spend $30,000 to find a coach. But let's go back to kind of like, as far as leadership goes within companies, what is, I guess, how would you in theory define a leader worth following?
So I think a leader worth following, man, like they're gonna come to you, man. Like I don't really feel like you should constantly have to go to them. I'm big on trying to give back, man. Like I've started off at the bottom, right? So like anybody I work with, they worked under me, whatever it may be, you got to have a second, go in there and talk to them like, hey man, what can I help you out with? What are you struggling with? And then when they're approaching you like that, like, what can I do to help? Like, you can see that that's a genuine thing from them. So like, if you constantly got to go to them, then that's kind of an issue. You should see them come to you. I'm not sitting here saying every single day, but like,
Right.
you should see some of those traits in them. Like, hey man, what can I help you out with? What are you struggling with? Like, hey man, I got a new topic. I learned this. I want to go over this with you to kind of help you out, So it's more of like their approach to helping you versus you chasing them down. Because the people that really want to see people succeed, they're going to make time from their self to go reach back and be able to help out as well. And like, you should be able to tell like how honest that is, that they really want to see that, and like the time and the effort that they're putting into you. A lot of the top performers and top leaders, man, they're very busy individuals, but if you see them really trying to reach back and help you out, you better take them up on it. You're not too busy. Find some dang time to sit down with them, because there's a reason why they get there. So yeah, anybody that is worth following should also be trying to follow you and seeing your success. And you can tell somebody when they're genuine about your success. Somebody that's probably not genuine, it's like, it almost feels like, you're bothering them too much, right? And if you're getting those vibes of like you're bothering them too much, like, get away, go find somebody else, because like, that might just be their title of having to help you out. But if it feels like you're bothering them every single time, like, I'd probably find somebody else, man. And a true leader is going to really come after you, man. Cause like, it feels so good to be able to help somebody get to that next level. Had a buddy starting the roofing industry last year, and he started like 6 months into the year, ended up 500 on the year. So that's not bad for 6 months in, right? Full year, could have done over $1 million first year. And we got on calls every single week, and this was in the midst of last year, that double golden door year. But I made time for him because he wants to learn. And I think that's another thing, is like, you better be able to put in the time and the effort. If they tell you, hey, I want you to work on this, go put that stuff in. Because if you start disappointing them and not doing what you're supposed to do, then at the same time, like, they're probably going to back off. So like, help them help you kind of deal.
Yeah, I think that's super important, because a lot of people, a mentor of mine, Dan Fleischman, I just had him on my show, the Mikey Lucas show, which is actually dropping here in a couple of weeks. So if you're watching this now, you probably go look it up. It'll probably be out. Dan likes to say, I don't like assholes.
Assholes?
An asshole.
Okay.
Someone that just ask questions and never does anything about it. And I always tell people, like, a buddy of mine that I've been mentoring and coaching for a long time now, he goes, he asked me a question the other day, and he basically said along the lines of, hey, do you have like an automation or a workflow text thread that I can use for my guys to help them with their finances? And I literally just said, are you asking Mikey GPT right now? Because technically, if you just ask that to ChatGPT, wouldn't it be able to give you that? And so I think the main thing is like, if a great leader, one, would give the ability to have, give the student, right, the person, the tools to succeed beyond their mentorship, coaching, their leadership. And if one of the biggest things that I've learned from Tony Robbins, and I love Tony, is you need to become more resourceful. And a lot of people, and I want to get back to this because it's important. I think people need to know that, especially the younger guys listening to this, and ladies listening to this show, is yeah, you can find the best mentor, but if they tell you what to do and you don't do it, they're not going to continue to tell you what to do. You're not doing it. It's like you're asking someone who's already at where you want to be what to do. They tell you 1, 2, 3. And you go 9 fish cat. And it's like, it's frustrating because you're like, okay, I get it. You're young, these young 20-year-olds coming into the industry that they want to use the technology and all that kind of stuff. And I'm all for technology. Don't get me wrong. We use AI. We've got, systems and processes that have made us way more efficient, effective, and productive, significantly more. But there's nothing that's going to stop you from knocking more doors and getting in front of people. And, I think that, I guess the main thing I'm trying to communicate here is like, when you are looking for a mentor, or when you're looking for someone that is giving you advice, whether that's someone you're paying for, someone you found in a book or found on the internet or from this show, it's if the person that has the double golden door, technically a triple, multiple years of hitting golden door, and they tell you this is the formula to becoming a golden door award winner, and you don't even try it. It's frustrating because like I don't understand why the human mind wants to. I think I understand it, but it's like they think that they're going to get there quicker, faster by not doing it the way that worked. Now, don't get me wrong. There's examples like that throughout every industry. As an example, in the military now, I was just reading an article about this, that the young 20-year-olds coming in the military are getting frustrated because the military, these, Delta operators and Navy SEALs, those guys, they do it a specific way, right? And that way has worked for a very long time. Don't get me wrong. But with the new technology now, the younger cats coming into these, special forces, they're getting bored because they're like, well, we could do this even faster if we just had these amount of resources. And I was listening to an interview on the Sean Ryan show the other day that was like, these young new operators coming in, they're like, they went out and like built a drone out of like scrap parts and materials, and because they didn't want to have to wait on the government, right, or their higher ups to build something for them, so they ended up building it themselves. And this was like a 40-year-old retired operator, and he was like, dude, like, the first time I've heard, because this happens all the time, where people that are, in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, they look at our generation, 20 and 30-year-olds, and they go, oh, you guys are privileged, and, you love being on your phones. You don't like, you can't communicate, and they just talk crap on us. And one of the things that I love doing in my career and in life in general, especially when I'm out in the public, is give people that are that older generation, the 40, 50, 60-year-olds, hope that our generation is not a bunch of jackknobs. But at the end of the day, if you're not resourceful, you're not doing what the successful people are telling you to do. At the end of the day, you're just being an asshole. And there, as a mentor myself of many people, there's nothing more that frustrates me of I tell you, hey, what got me to where I was at when I was in my door-to-door career was knocking on 62 doors a day, setting 4 to 5 appointments. Hello, thumbs up, I guess. Freaking Apple. Knocking 62 doors a day, setting 4 appointments a day, and one of those is going to close. And those were just the metrics, the input that I needed to do to be able to go and create the amount, the multiple 6 figures a year in passive income from, making the money that I was doing. And it's just, it's mind boggling to me why certain individuals think that they're going to be able to cut corners. And, when you listen to all these very successful people, Ryan Stewman being one of them, I used to be coached by Ed Milet and Andy Frisella, like there's no shortcut to success. And, your ability to go out and really do a triple golden door in roofing is not something that should be taken lightly. That is not easy to do, which I can't wait to get into that. But it's just interesting when there's a totally different mindset of two different people here that think that they're going to get there by not doing what you did, and they're going to get there faster. And obviously it doesn't work. I don't know one person that's hit a golden door that said, all I did was sit around and get leads. I don't know one person that is a, or that's created multiple golden door winners like myself, that has created those people by letting them know that you can take Saturdays off. You can show up to meetings late. You can not have your life together. You can, give 2 craps less about, your personal development journey, and, just listen to Drake and, Luke Bryan all day long. It's like, no, you have to take this, like the personal development self-mastery journey should not be taken lightly. That is something you have to absolutely master if you want to get out of the rat race of the traditional American dream. And it's awesome to know that you're in Apex. Ryan actually really wanted me to join Apex, and I was like, dude, I'm already in 3 masterminds. At the time, I was like, dude, I know I'd be a great, he was like, you're like the client avatar for Apex. You would be phenomenal here. And I was like, I know that, but at the time I couldn't join because I was like, dude, I only have 24 hours in a day. I'm also trying to start multiple companies, multiple businesses. You know, this is 4 or 5 years ago, or I guess now it's, I guess, yeah, 4 years ago or so. Anyways, it's neither here nor there. But you said you had this coach. His name is Todd, right?
Yeah, Todd Burke.
Todd, I'm pretty sure I know exactly who he is. Is he got gray hair?
No.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking somebody else. Tall, like really good looking, like in shape, older guy.
He's technically younger than me. I think he's 39.
You're not 39. How old are you?
40.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we're thinking about different people, because there's a guy that was in one of the masterminds that I was in that had one of those completely covered in diamonds Rolexes. That was a roofer. That I thought that was the guy, so I was going to try to see if I could bring that in, but it's all good. No worries.
He's got one of those. You know, he earned
Maybe,
it. But yeah, Todd's like really in shape. I mean, he used to be a bodybuilder.
I think this is that guy. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't have gray hair. For some reason, I thought the dude had gray hair, but maybe not. I thought it was a little bit older, but maybe we are talking about the same person.
Tattoos. A lot of tattoos.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. If you
taller, like at least like 5'11", 6 foot, something like that.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Maybe it is the same guy. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me what have you learned from Todd? What's the most profound thing you've learned from Todd?
I mean, a lot of mindset stuff, man. I mean, there's some back end stuff that I'm working on right now, because they transition into being an owner of a company, man. That's really what we're focused on. That's not all the fun and sexy stuff, right? But like being an owner, you don't know what you don't know. I say this a lot, because like you need to get out there and figure out what you don't know, and being able to work with somebody like Todd, who's been there, done that. I mean, he sold multiple companies. I think before he exited, his roofing platform did $300 million. So he knows his stuff. So just being able to ask him that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, he's big on mindset too. But like just being able to dive into certain parts of the business that I didn't even know about, it's been huge. So like, it's not really sexy right now. So, but you know, that's the stuff I need to know as a company, because I need to set this company up for success. So being able to ask him all those things. But to kind of touch on like what you were talking about before there, you were talking about the people that, you know, have given somebody the tools to be successful, and then they discount it. I think a lot of the younger generation, and just probably people in general, they try to find that shortcut. You know, like, hey, that sounds like a lot of work. How can I get around that, right? And they discount that of like, I don't want to do that. I'm going to find a way around it. And like the thing is like if somebody's told you this is what you need to do, and they're hitting those numbers, you need to go out there and do that, because they would be telling you you don't need to do that. You need to do X, Y, and Z if there was a shortcut around that, right? Now, they may have some shortcuts in, like, you know, working with that certain coach or whoever it may be, you know, somebody you look up to. They may have some shortcuts that you're going to learn along the way. But if they tell you, hey, you need to go knock 60 doors a day, there's no way around it. You know, okay, go do it. Like, you have to. But, like, if they had another way to come in and be like, hey, you only need to knock 25 doors and then do this also as well, then, okay, follow that path. But somebody that has hit those numbers that you're trying to hit, and they're giving you some advice of what to do, go do it. Like there's not another way around it. Like, I mean, if there was another way to hit those numbers, then they would be telling you. But if they tell you, hey, this is a non-negotiable, it's now a non-negotiable for you.
Why do you think guys don't do that? Even if they have a great leader like yourself that's been out there doing the actual work, the actual implementation of hitting a golden door, multiple golden doors, what do you think is stopping them for the new reps out there?
Being lazy, you know, just trying to find a shortcut so you don't have to put in all that work. I mean, the thing is, like, this industry, solar, I mean, you get what you put into it, you know? So, like, hey, man, if you want to be a half-ass rep, do half-ass work, and you're going to get a half-ass check, you know? But, like, if you want to be a top producer, go out there and put in all the work, and then you're going to get a big-time check, you know? And then it's just over and over and over. And the thing is like, you know, the more customers we get, the more referral opportunities we have too. So like, you know, it becomes easier the more harder you work. You know, last year I got a ton of referrals. I did. And but that's because you put in all that work, right? And so it can become easier down the road once you've got all these people that got your back when you're putting on all these roofs, putting on all these solar for certain people. So it becomes easier, but like definitely starting off, you got to put in the work. You have to, and that's where you have to work those extra hours, like you were talking about, working the Saturdays and everything. I mean, I was working 7 days a week last year. Just, I mean, there was no time for anything, right? But
Yep.
you know, at the same time, like those are the years that you dream of, right? Then that opportunity was put in front of me, then I wasn't taking my foot off the gas. I mean, I had to tell the wife and the little one, like, hey, y'all gonna have to give me a little bit of time. Like, I'm gonna be busy. I mean, I was getting up at 5:30 in the morning working on estimates, and then I'd be getting home at 10 o'clock. The wife had food cooked for me. I come home, scarf stuff down, put together estimates, and then I'm on the phone by 7 in the morning getting contracts signed again. You just gotta take what you can get, and especially like for the roofing industry, you get a storm, man. Especially the first 2.5 months, do not let off that gas. And you stay in at full steam ahead, then your paycheck's gonna be full steam ahead too. And that's what it's all.
And so,
it's not all about the money, but at the end of the day, we're all here to make some money.
yeah, no, I'm not working for free, and I think that's a big reason why a lot of the people in the door to door space, or even like real estate as well, is I don't think that they have clarity on what the result will be. They just wanted a title, I think, is what it is, and they want to look good in front of their family, like, oh yeah, I'm a real estate agent, or I'm a business owner, or whatever, and not realizing how freaking hard this is, dude. Like, I got off of a plane last night. I'm obviously not in my office today. I'm traveling. I got off of the plane last night at midnight, and my first meeting was at 7:30 this morning for one of my other companies, American Energy Fund, and like my schedule's packed today, and it's hard. It's really sad, to be honest with you. I don't really have sympathy for people that don't want to put in the work, but I do have empathy because I was there. It was that like you said, that mindset that I had to figure out how to get over. That there was no way around hard work. And I don't know. I guess it's maybe not your generation since you're 40, but my generation, they started handing out ribbons for second, third, fourth, last place.
Yeah.
And so you got, I just turned 33, and my generation, the first generation, was cell phones in high school. And so we've got an entire generation that's coming up, and I'm sure you have people in your office that are 20, 30, young 20-year-olds that their mom, their dad coddled them and oh, you did it wrong, but that's not your fault. That's the teacher's fault. That's the blah, blah, blah's fault. Like there was this unfortunate lack of accountability that it really frustrates me, because I see people that have such potential, but they want the end result, but they're not willing to put in the work to get there. And I think that's not because they're not necessarily a hard worker or a good person or whatever. I think it's that, and it's not just that they don't have a good leader or a good coach, because it's not that I didn't have a great leader growing up or growing up in the industry, but I did have some really good, outstanding people. But I was never top guy in the industry or in my office. And so I had to fight to get the attention that you're saying, hey, hey, I need help. Hey, manager, hey, leader, I need help. I'm doing the things that you said to do, and it's not working. Can you, help me out here? And I wasn't in the top 20%, right? And as a leader, right, the 80-20 rule, you should spend 80% of your time on the top 20% of your people. I was really in the top 40%, and so I had to fight extra and to be able to get the attention of these great leaders. And I think that's one of the I guess you could say best character traits that I've had, or lifestyle that I've had, is that I've always had to fight to get attention, to fight to get to the next level. It's kind of like, I don't really personally like, the NFL, but I don't watch sports at all. Actually, I'm just saying this in general, but I don't really like the NFL or the NBA, but I really actually do enjoy watching college basketball. I don't watch it all the time, but in general, or college football, because those kids, they have to fight because they're not at the end result yet. And so I think that once people, feel like they've arrived is ultimately when they stop putting in the work, because they are no longer making $20,000-$30,000 a year. Now they're making $80,000 a year. And now all of a sudden they're big ballers and they can buy social media credit and whatever. And it's something that's honestly, it's plaguing our young men in not only this industry, but also in our country, is the I've arrived syndrome. And, I think guys like yourself, that you're 40, still getting after it, married with kid, like you it doesn't seem like you feel like you've arrived. It feels like, not that you feel like you're dumb, but you're like, I'm not there yet. I'm not at where I want to be at. Maybe it's because of your history with, drugs and alcohol, that you feel like you have to make up for lost ground. But, I think the entire 20-year-old generation, not all of them, but the entire 20-year-old generation has a problem that they have to deal with, where it's, they were told that, everything's just going to be, roses and daisies, and that, there's really no accountability for what they do. And they get to just kind of piss off their day, but they get to drive the Lambo, and they want to. They have the, what are they called? They have a champagne diet with a beer budget or something like that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Is that how they say it?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, another thing that everybody needs to take in consideration too is you've got prime selling years, right? So like, you're learning in your 20s, right? So like, you may start really picking up some steam by the time you get like 25. But I don't know about you or anybody else. I don't want to be knocking doors at 60 years old, So like, and we're not going to be on our A game. I mean, the thing is, like, we get on roofs. I mean, I don't need to get on a roof, at 60 years old, right? So like, set yourself up to success. So work as hard as you can while you can, because I mean, I would love to retire at 55, and go out there and maybe flip some houses or whatever it may be, right? And then do what kind of I want when I want. But like, if you don't set yourself up for success in those prime selling years, then you're going to be struggling when you get to be 55, 60 years old. You don't want that, because you're going to look back and like, man, I just wish I could have put in, another 5 hours a week, man, would have changed my whole life. 5 hours a week from 25 to 50. I mean, that's a lot of hours and a lot more sales that you'll be able to get. So like, just, you got to take that in consideration too, that you got some prime time. Like, I feel like I've even kind of slowed down, the energy levels that I have now versus from when I was younger as well too. So use that energy to your advantage.
Yeah, I call that the window of opportunity. And I always try to, whenever I go speak at companies or, speak on stage, like I just spoke at SolarCon this past weekend, I love talking about that window of opportunity, because there's a buddy of mine who's a multi-year Golden Door winner I used to work with at Solar City. And he, on the background of his computer was this like ticking, this like time clock that was like counting down. And it was like, he put it, his background of his computer was this ticking time, this clock that was like, hey, you only have X amount of years left to live. And he put like, I think they call that like mortality motivation, where, you and I, being from the party scene, have seen people die. And, we are not promised tomorrow, and you only have that window of opportunity to make money, where you're healthy, where your mindset, you're not like, insane or unable to go to work every single day because you have, your children, your kid gets sick or something, your wife gets sick or something, like, and you have to completely shift your focus. And it's unfortunate that most people don't respect that window of opportunity, like you're saying. That's it's sad to see that. But let me transition really quick. I want to talk about your or actually, any final words on that?
No, I mean, just kind of like you're saying, man, you don't know what's going to happen. So like, set yourself up for success. You may get sick, your wife may get sick, your mom or something like that. And now you have to take a step back. But like, if you do have to take a step back, you set yourself up for success. So yes, I agree with you 100%, man. You just got to go out there and get after it. Like, don't have regret. Don't leave yourself with regret. Like, man, I wish I would have worked harder.
Yep. So let me transition into your Golden Door year. What did that look like? Walk me through that. So you're just coming off of a double Golden Door, technically speaking, a triple Golden Door. Yeah. But walk me through that year. It sounds like you were working 7 days a week. And in my prime, I was working, I would say 6.5 days a week. I wouldn't say 7, but I'd say I worked 6.5 days a week for 7 years straight.
Yeah.
Walk me through the Golden Door year, man. What were some of the highs, the lows, the doubts? Were you going for a Golden Door initially, or was it just, what was that? What did that year look
Yeah, I
like?
mean, once I found out about the Golden Door, I mean, that's now your benchmark for every year, right?
Yeah.
So I had a goal going into the year to hit 3 million. That was where I was at. We had a storm roll through in January, had a pretty nice January. And then a huge hailstorm hit for South Carolina anyway, hit the Charleston area, 2-inch hail. And it smoked some neighborhoods, man. It did. I mean, yeah. So,
Damn.
I was out that storm, and I'll never forget. So, like, that storm was coming through a little bit south of us, right? I'm watching it on my phone, like, it's dropping. They were talking about like tennis ball size hail. I'm like, come on, baby, come on, because like we have a serious problem in Charleston. These storms roll in and they fall apart once they hit like the beach and everything. They'll just fall apart. So like they'll be throwing hail in Atlanta, like coming through, and all of a sudden it just falls apart. And we got Greenville, South Carolina as well. They'll get hit, and all of a sudden it makes its way to Charleston and it falls apart. But anyway, so that storm was happening. I was cooking some tuna that I had caught a couple weeks before for me and the wife, and like I'm sitting there watching it, and like it starts raining at the house, and like I am flying through it. She's like, Blake, you're gonna choke. Like, slow down. I was like, I don't think you understand what's coming, babe. Like, this is gonna be game changing. So I scarfed that food down. All of a sudden, reports start coming in like, hey, 2-inch hail, it hit in Ladson, South Carolina. Ladson, South Carolina. It hit there, and like I was like, all right, trying to figure out kind of where everything was hitting. I hadn't paid for hail trace because we hadn't had a good hailstorm. I'm on the phone with hail trace, like, hey, get me signed up. They got me linked up, and then I'm a big believer of you need to go scout it out. So I left the house probably 8 o'clock that night and was just kind of scouting out different areas and then figured out where I wanted to focus on, right? So I found this neighborhood and we took over the neighborhood, us as a company, right? The funny part, there was a roofer that lives in that neighborhood got so mad because I mean we absolutely took over, and I had a guy that he had done some sales before, but just like a year experience, and he was actually going to be a production manager. Well, that night I called the owner. I was like, "Hey, he's not in production anymore. He's in sales." And he was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I made a phone call to him. I'm like, "You're in sales. Come out with me. I want you to follow me a little bit on my first couple." And like he picked it up super quick, and I was like, "Dude, go out there. You got it. Like, call me with any questions. You know where I'm at. Like, just get after it." And he did pretty good, But I mean, I was closing like 20, 25 deals a week, but it was just constant from sun up to sundown. And I agree with you. It wasn't a full 7 days a week. I did try to spend some time on Sundays, and we go to church. Did try to spend some time with them, but like instead of going and watching TV, I'm coming in here and working on estimates and doing what I can, right? But still being able to have a little bit of time for the family. But yeah, man, it was really sun up to sundown. You're waking up, kicking out some estimates, and then you got to adjust your appointments after you're landing all these deals. You got to adjust your appointments, and then new appointments to go look at people because they've heard about you. They're reaching out like, hey, I want you. The whole neighborhood was huge. I'll give a little nugget to everybody. I made sure, like, when we got done, like, offered them to be able to post about me. I did a $25 gift card for everybody that made a little post. Like, hey, I just got done dealing with Blake with the last company I was with. He's great. If y'all need him, here's his card. And they would take a picture of my card and post it on the Facebook page for the neighborhood. Man, at one point, I was so close to hiring somebody just to answer my phone, right? Like, it was that close because it was just constant. I'll be up on a roof, like, looking at damage, circling damage, just setting up my next appointment, getting down, shooting over there. And it was constant. But that's what you live for as a roofer. Like, that's what you want. And I just didn't let off the gas. And by doing that, I took over that neighborhood and became a big referral. Like, got a lot of referrals out of that neighborhood, but took it over because I was willing to put in the work. I mean, I remember talking to my buddy TJ that worked with me. It would be 6:30 at night, and it's a ghost town in there because all the roofers went home. I'm like, what am I doing, man? Like, we got lucky because like they just weren't working. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? Like, this is crazy. Like, these houses are smoked in here. But another thing is, a lot of the roofers knew we took over that neighborhood and they wouldn't come in there. You know, I mean, you see some people, but they knew, like, man, they got this thing on lock already. So it was a really cool feeling that, like, them coming through and our just signs are blasted through the whole neighborhood. And then, you know, they're trying to talk to people and like, no, we're set up with Blake and good to go from there. So yeah, it was super cool.
That's awesome. What were some of the so let's talk about like organization wise, because I think that's especially for the younger guys, organization is pivotal. Not just working the hours. I mean, working the hours is obvious. That's bumper sticker. But you know, if you're not working the hours, you're going to have problems in general, right? Like if you're taking off at 6:30 at night or 6 o'clock at night, and you got guys like Blake out here working until 9 o'clock, like you can't complain that you don't have the money, the freedom, the vacations, the cars, the houses, whatever, right? To be able to, or the resources to be able to do what you want when you're taking off at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Because it's, you know, whatever. I don't know. I don't understand people that take off, especially in the door-to-door space that are taking off at 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, that's like the best time. And you know, it's weird. It's weird to me. I don't understand it. I don't want to understand it actually. But let's talk about some of the hurdles that you had to overcome in that year. One of them was, hey, you are at a point where you know probably should have probably had a hired assistant. Are you hiring an assistant this year for that, or is your plan to do that?
Yeah, I mean, starting this company is going to be a lot different. Like, I'm going to be doing sales, but like, you know, part of my deal is to be that advocate for the guys, because like not everybody's going to come in and have as much experience. So like I've set up my business model to be that right hand man. The last owner that I was with, man, he wasn't in the trenches, wasn't willing to help out. You know, it's just like, y'all do it. And like, I don't feel like that's right, man. Like, you got to take care of your people. You take care of your people take care of you. So like, you know, let's say we get to, you know, 7 or 8 sales guys this year. We're like, if we need to hire somebody to make sure that they're out in the field more instead of doing all this computer back end stuff work, like, we're going to do it. Like, I'm not, you got to make sure you give the best opportunity to your guys to be successful. And if you don't do that, then you're limiting them to how much more they can get. And like all that computer back end work, man, like, I don't know. I can't sit here and say I could have hit 10, but like there was so much computer back end stuff that I had to do that if we could have hired somebody and delegated that stuff to them, I could have been out there more. I mean, that storm hit in June. I think it was like September is when I stopped knocking, just because I had so much computer stuff to do. And like there was so much more out there to be sold to, and I just didn't have the opportunity because I had so much. Like, why was I put in that situation? But you know, here we are. I'm starting my own company. I'm doing things different because that's the last thing I would do is make somebody sit at the house in front of the computer all day every day because they're trying to catch up on certain things.
Yep.
When you know, we could have hired somebody easily, you know, paid them $60,000 a year even, and like, hey, they're now letting me get out in the field to be able to sell some more. So I don't know if I could have hit 10, but you know, I would have loved to have the opportunity to give a go at it, right?
Yeah, you're pretty damn close to that. I mean, that was something that we did as well. We ended up hiring our own site surveyor because, you know, I tried to find things in business and stuff with that I'm doing now as well. It's like, it's not that it's not, my dad always taught me, if you want it done right, you do it yourself. And yes, that is true. But at the end of the day, there is no scalability with you doing everything. And I've had to, I don't know, swallow my pride, I suppose, and allow people to fail, even though I've taught them how to do it and they do it completely different or do it in a way that's, you know, half-assed, if you will, and be okay with that because, and I get people tell me this all the time, like, you know, why are you delegating that to your assistant? I'm like, because I value my time. And what I need to be doing is X, Y, and Z, high value money making activities. My assistant can do this. And if she doesn't know how to do it, I'm going to teach her how to do it. And, you know, I think that's one of the key parts of having a very successful roofing company that you're heading into, you're embarking on right now is you need to have your top guys in houses, on roofs. You know, if you can hire it's how they make money. Exactly. It's how to continue to bring money into the business. And if you can just keep your guys doing that rather than having to do all the XYZ, whatever, the quotes, the adjuster meetings, all that kind of stuff, if you hire somebody to do that, you can have your top sales guys at the kitchen table signing more deals. And I think that that's ultimately the difference between a very successful roofing company that's doing, 50 to $100 million in contracts a year versus a company that's doing 2 to 3 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to figure out what to delegate, and I'll say that's to the sales rep. Like, if your company's not going to do it, looking back, I wish I would have pulled the trigger on it. So, if you get to having a crazy busy year, go out there and find your own person to help you out if your company's not going to help you, because delegating, like you're talking about, some of the work that you don't want to do or is not making you more sales or profit there, then having yourself in front of more homeowners and be able to sell more, it's just going to make you more money. So, like, yeah, it may be a hit for $40,000 hiring this person, but what is that person how much is that person going to free you up? Okay, well, now you're able to get another 7 sales a week. Like, you're going to make that, the ROI is definitely there, right? So I agree with you, man. It's definitely about trying to figure out what you can delegate when you can delegate it when you get to that next level.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I've got a lot of guys that come on the show. I ask them about, like, hey, do you have an assistant, and what's that look like? Like, what do they do? A lot of the guys, they'll have assistants out of the Philippines or out of Central South America, and then obviously in the roofing side, it's a lot of that stuff you need to have people actually in person, because doing those adjuster meetings, you can't have a Filipino VA at an adjuster meeting. So it's multifaceted. But there's a lot of growth that can happen if people just took on the risk, if you will, of hiring that $40,000 to $60,000 a year person in America to help you out, and you're able to buy your time back and do more. It's like, hey, yeah, sure, it's an expense, $60,000 a year, $40,000 a year, but at the end of the day, that $40,000 a year, is going to help you make an additional $80,000 to $100,000, so it pays for itself in and of itself.
Absolutely.
And then systems and processes and all that kind of stuff, building playbooks. So I see you've got some books behind you. Tell me some influential books that you've read that have really or podcasts that you listen to.
Okay, you're gonna call me out on. My wife teases me, man, because I buy all these books and I don't read them. Like, I've got some winners back there, but I'm just not a reader, man. I'm just not. So appreciate it.
How do you? My bad. How do you?
You're good.
What do you do to learn? Because obviously you're in masterminds. Let me see if I can see any of these good books.
Let's see, the 10X rule. I got
That's a good one.
Book in here. There's Profit First.
Profit First is a great one.
Yeah. Steuben's books one of Steuben's books in here. There's all kind of stuff, man. Contractor Blueprint by Jim Johnson. Yeah, there's all kind of stuff I need to read in there.
So I guess how do you what do you do for personal development? What do you do there? So are you a podcast guy, or I know you're a mastermind, but like, what else do you do it doesn't sound like you have much time to read or listen to anything because you're on calls all day long, but what are things that you're planning on doing now, being that you're transitioning, not that you're transitioning out of selling, but you're transitioning into running your own company? What are things that you're doing to actually grow personally to be, have a higher business IQ?
Yeah, really getting with my coach on that stuff. So business side, get with Todd Price on that and really learning what I don't know. So that's one thing. Different podcasts that I try to listen to here and there. I just really kind of let them kind of jump out at me. The Apex thing is huge, and it just in that Apex group, man. There's just different platforms where everybody is willing to help one another out. So. But yeah, for me right now, it's just really diving into the stuff with Todd. I got another guy that I communicate a lot with, and we share some industry secrets, I guess, if you will. So I always recommend everybody finding somebody in your industry that's not local that may be a top rep or doing some stuff different, because you know, I'm in South Carolina, he's in Texas. He has no problem sharing what's working for him or like different stuff because
Right.
it's not going to affect him, right? But like,
Right.
and I'm friends with some of these roofers. Like we're in a text message group. We go fishing together. Like we're friends, but like there's a certain point where you can't give away certain things. We're willing to help each other out as much as possible, but like there's some business stuff that you just can't pour into them as much, you know.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend being able to find some winners in your field just outside of that stuff, and maybe that's hopping on a call once a month, maybe every other week, whatever it is. And you know, I try to pour into him, he tries to pour into me. My buddy James, man, he's a big outside the box thinker. So I love that. I try to think outside the box. But yeah, I mean, just for personal growth, man, find yourself a coach. And even if you can't do that, you know, I say like getting on Facebook for like the roofing industry. We got a whole bunch of these Facebook forums, right? Well, read
Yep.
what people are posting about and then go in those comments and be able to read like, oh, that's what they're doing, you know, or that's how they got this roof approved, you know. So there's some free stuff, you know, everything doesn't have to be paid for. And I still
Right.
do that to this day, man. I'll come across a post, I'm like, oh, cool, what are they doing? And then you start seeing these top people in the industry, and you can really kind of flock to their answers and like what they're putting. And you're going to see a lot of the same correct answers. You know, you see something off in left field, you may not want to listen to that person, right? But like, there's some free stuff on there. Getting on these podcasts, you know, podcasts are free. Facebook's obviously free, and then just work yourself up in the sales side and put some of that money aside. I know it's going to sting, you know, paying $5, $10, $15,000 for coaching and everything, but I'm telling you, your ROI, if you get with the right coach, is going to pay for itself,
Yeah.
you know, multiple times over.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, no, I realize that the ROI on coaching, I mean, literally just catapulted me to the next level. And yeah, it's a huge investment, but it's worth
That's
every dollar.
exactly what I was going to say. You got to invest in yourself, man. You got to
Yeah,
invest in yourself.
yeah. So tell me some of the what were, let's say halfway through your golden door year, you hadn't hit a golden door yet. Were you doubting it, or was it like you were completely dialed, like you knew this was going to happen?
No, I mean, probably by halfway through the year, I knew I was going to hit it. I mean, I think in January, so like probably by the end of February, I was probably already at like 1.5 or so. So like 2 months in, like, you know, hey, I'm, I'm a good ways there already, right? So just
Yeah.
had to keep plugging along. And then, you know, like I said, I did get blessed with that storm, but that just catapulted to different numbers. My year end goal was set at 3 million right at the beginning of the year. And then once I, you know, saw, hey, that's attainable and some, you know, I raised my goal. And I do that every year. You can't just, you know, start at the beginning of the year, hey, I got 3 million and not try to raise that. Like I'm big on pushing myself too. So like, you know, halfway through the year that probably got raised to 4, 5, 6, you know, 7, whatever it may have been. I mean, I had a goal for 10 when I thought we could make some changes, but you know, I got shot down. So, but yeah, I mean, just you know, I guess for probably after February, I knew it was definitely something that was attainable for that year because when we had such good year or good January.
So let me transition a little bit. I'll try to land the plane as much as quickly as I can because I know you got to get going. I got an appointment here shortly as well. Tell me about Revive. What was the whole purpose behind that? And what's your guys' goals? Like, what are you doing?
Systems and processes, man. I want to make this a platform for the sales guys to come in here and be the best that they can be. So I am here to help them out. I have been through the trenches. I know how this all works, but like I have the systems and processes to make sure that they're going to be most successful. Not having them sit there and doing all the computer work. I'm delegating all that stuff. Like y'all just get out there and sell, and then we're going to do the trainings to make sure that they're, you know, being as successful as possible and they've got all the tools that they need, right? So trying to build that platform out to where it's so attractive for people because like, hey, this guy truly cares about me. He doesn't have me sitting on the job site when we're installing roof. Like this is a salesperson. He doesn't need to play site supervisor, right? He doesn't need to play supplementer. He doesn't need to play, you know, order placer, right? So like just keeping everybody in their own lane is going to help us all succeed because like, you know, I'm not great at computer work, right? Like, you know, all that back end stuff. So we're delegating all that stuff for everybody. So it makes their job easier to focus on the stuff that they're good at. And then we're going to have a production team that, hey, that's what they're focused on. That's what they're good at. So why not have everybody's, strong suit? That's where they stay in and not bouncing around like this roofing industry. It's kind of set up there. We're also big about giving back, man. There's a Bible verse out there. The first three numbers in the Bible verse are 123. So it's pretty cool. We're going to be able to give a homeowner opportunity to pick between five local charities that we have here in town, and they can pick that, and then we'll donate something in their name, that $123 in their name. So hopefully be able to make an impact on the community, make an impact on all my staff, everybody that's working with me, not for me, but just trying to make an impact, man. And if that's, be able to change get sales guys' lives, some production team guys' life, office manager, just really trying to pour into them, into some personal development as well, give them back, and just trying to streamline this whole process. I'm trying to take it to the top.
Yeah.
Trying to take over Charleston market, and then we're gonna keep going from there.
Yeah, there's definitely a need for that. So there's definitely a need for that in the roofing space, and I'm actually very excited to continue to follow up with you to make sure that you're heading in that direction. So I'm going to be checking in on you whether you like it or not. Now that I have your number,
I love for you too, man.
Good. So if there was one thing that you could tell to someone that didn't hit Golden Door, that wants to hit Golden Door, what would you say?
So let's say they didn't hit Golden Door last year, right? So look back on that year. Figure out where you think your weaknesses were, where you think you were wrong. You got to be honest with yourself, right? I only worked 5 Saturdays a year. So I only worked 5 Saturdays last year. Let's change that into, at least working every other Saturday or whatever it may be for yourself, right? And then trying to really be a student to that industry, and then using that, have the mindset that I'm not giving up and I'm actually going to go out there and make this happen, and don't let off the gas. And because you may have a good day. Hey, I got 3 contracts today. Cool. Well, it's 5:30. You still got 2 more hours. Keep pushing, because you got to be able to stack those wins on top of one another. Don't get down on yourself. I mean, me and all the top industry guys, we still have bad days. It's no surprise, So you can't beat yourself up too bad about it, but keep yourself in the mindset that you are going to make that happen, and then pour into yourself. Take some time at night, whether it's reading, unlike what I do, or something to help propel yourself to that next level. It could be podcasts. If you have the opportunity, invest in yourself. Try to go find a mentor, a coach, or some classes that you can get into. That's really what I recommend. Is just, you got to have that mindset and take that poor me mindset out and put the mindset of nope, this is mine. I'm getting it. And like Sam said at the event for the Golden Door, this is my year. And he made everybody say that. And then keep that in and close to your heart. This is my year. I'm not giving up. Dude, you're going to get doors slammed in your face. You're going to tell people to go on. But people tell you go on. But you got to keep pushing yourself to that next level and keep going after that goal that you want, because you get one life, one chance, one opportunity. And if you break that down to, every month, every week, you just have to stay in that mindset there. And I also say, try to think outside the box. I mean, another little nugget I'll throw out there, we put up a food truck in that neighborhood, free food for everybody, right? Man, we landed 36 leads off of that one day. I came up with this idea to put this food truck up in there. We landed 36 leads. Now, this was my idea, so all the sales guys did benefit, because we just round robin it, everybody got it. But 36 leads, and I think it was 17 the second time we did it. But it just gives homeowners some opportunity to be able to come meet you, see who it is. We're giving back a little bit. I mean, I think the first one cost us $2,000. Okay, land one job, you're good, right? So just try to constantly think outside the box and try to be a little different, but don't be scared to go put that work in. You have to go knock those doors. Use Facebook to your advantage. If you're in a neighborhood, go out there and have a homeowner post about you. Hey, great opportunity. Don't be afraid to spend a little money on them. If they post post something for you, give them a $25 gift card. That goes a long way with those people make them want to post that. Well, if you land another job, guess what? That 25 is nothing compared to what you're about to make. So think outside the box, go out there, work hard, go get it, and don't let off the gas, especially in the beginning after a storm. And then, realistically, you can't let off the gas when the storm's passed, too.
What's that quote from Kobe Bryant? He says, "Rest at the end."
I'm sure I've heard it, but I don't know. But yeah, rest at the end. And that's the whole goal here. That's kind of what I was talking about with the, prime selling years, like we can go rest at the end, but go work hard now.
I love that.
And
Blake,
here's the thing, man. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I'm not the best salesman in the world. So like people like us, we have to be willing to go work harder for that, So like if you're willing to go work harder than that best salesman in your company, and he's working 45 hours a week, but you're working 55 hours a week, guess what? You're probably going to be rivaling his numbers. Yeah, you may put in a little more hours, but you're still rivaling his numbers. So don't be afraid to go put in those hours. I had to do it. I mean, it's just something that has to live inside of you, and you got to go out there and just drive yourself. Like I'm not taking no for an answer to hitting my goal of where I want to be at. And then if you get close to hitting that goal, set that goal higher, and then go after it. Just don't be happy with, hey, I want to be a golden door. I hit 2.5. Like go after it and chase that double. Because that's what happened with me. Like, all right, cool, hit golden door. Now I'm going after a double. Wish I could have technically got the third, but it is what it is. You just got to keep pushing yourself.
Love that. Yep. It's are you college educated?
No.
I love it.
But nah, man, I was technically a high school dropout, man, to be honest with you. So I was
high school dropout, not college educated, hit double golden door, made, I'm assuming, a very lot of money. And I think it's funny how people think you have to have all this education, these accolades, when in reality, it's work.
It is. Yeah.
It is work.
And college is not going to be for everybody, man. And like, the funny thing is, man, I make more money than some doctors out there. There's plenty of doctors that make a lot more than me, right? But like, doctors, lawyers, and everything. So like, this industry provides you the opportunity to go out there and be a top earner in the nation. Like,
yep.
I saw a post about somebody the other day. I think he was on your channel or so, but I forget his name. But like somebody was like, you didn't want to go find a real job? And he's like, oh, I got a real job. And he was like, you want to compare bank accounts? And like this dude like completely shut down because he was like, I'm a top earner in the industry. Like, how's your 401k look, man? Let's look at all this stuff together. And like pretty much called him out because this door-to-door industry, man, it gives us the opportunity to be top earners in the industry.
I think I don't know if,
or excuse me, the country, not the industry.
Yeah, in the country. Yeah, absolutely. It's wild. So out of respect for your time, because I know you got to get moving, where can we find you on the internet? Because I want guys obviously to go find you, support you, and cheer you on, man. Where can we find you on the internet?
Yeah, so probably biggest on Facebook, Blake Grissom. Hopefully my name will be popping up here somewhere. Also, website's revive-gc.com. We've got a Facebook page as well. And I would love for you to send me a Facebook friend request. I think I may be at 5K now, but send me a follow. Let me know what I can do to help out. Like for all the people that are starting out or just need some help, like don't be afraid to reach out to me. Like if you're willing to put in the time and effort, I will find some time to kind of go over some topics with you. Whatever you're struggling with, like feel free to reach out. Like I was helped when I was coming up, so I'm not scared to reach back and help somebody else out too. So. Yeah, give me a follow. Let me know what I can do to help.
Love that. Yeah, I had last story really quick. I had a guy that was in my building. He was a food delivery guy, and in the elevator, and he was like, "What do you do?" And I kind of told him what I did, blah blah blah. And, I'm an energy bank investor, blah blah whatever. And after that, it was no big deal. I went out and walked my dogs, and this dude came back. Was driving his bike. He was driving one of those like electric bikes with the coolers on it. He's like, "Hey man, I got to shoot my shot." And I ended up talking to this kid for like 20 minutes. And I was like, dude, why aren't you in sales? Like, you've got an engineering degree and you can't find a job. Why aren't you in sales? And so long story short, I ended up connecting this kid with somebody that was local out in Houston. And he just got hired on by this guy. And he posted a video. I reposted it a couple of days ago on my Instagram and Facebook. And the kid is now out there getting after it. And I want to give that kid credit because he asked for help. This kid could have not came back to me and said, you're way too big. Like, I'm afraid of you. No, this kid came back to me, had the cojones, come and say, hey, what do you do? Like, how did you get there? And I just laid it out as simple as possible. And I ended up convincing the kid to go get into sales. And the kid's now in sales. And I'm hoping he's going to do a great job because the kid that I connected him with is doing outstanding out in Houston. And, you got to ask for help, man. Like, you don't have to know how to do everything. You don't have to know. You just got to ask people for freaking help. And that's what will work.
Absolutely, man. Like, I mean, you probably heard me say, you got to be a student to the industry. Like, it's constantly changing, and don't be, like you're saying, like, don't be afraid to ask people for help, man. Like, there's going to be stuff that you don't know. There's going to be stuff you forget that you're going to have to re-ask, and like,
right.
I do it all the time, man. So like, I agree with you 110%. Like, and take your shot, what's it going to hurt?
You got nothing to lose.
Right.
Nothing to lose. I love it, man. Well, I appreciate you, Blake. And obviously it's great to meet you. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you and watching your company grow, dude. Looking forward to seeing you on stage this year again, because you're going to be on stage this year, at least with the single golden door. You need to hit it, bro. You're going to hit it. I know for a fact you're going to hit it. You guys probably still have a layover of that storm. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on stage this year, shaking your hand as well, man. So I appreciate you. I'm rooting for you, brother. And if there's anything that I can do for you, please obviously let me know as well.
I appreciate you, man.
Awesome, man. God bless, man. Have a good one.
Right back at you.
Thank you, brother.